3. Okay, for Lab 5 in Math 90, we are going to be doing a percentage activity where you look at what percentage of your day you spend on different activities. So I need you to think about what you do in a typical day, make it a typical work week day, and break your day up into maybe 5 to 7 different categories. So think, how many hours in your day do you sleep? How many hours are spent eating? How many hours are spent on schoolwork? If you have kids, how many hours are spent taking care of the kids? Maybe you have a long commute. So we're going to start with that. Here's our Lab 5. So the first thing that we'll do is just make this table right here. Start by writing down the categories of what you do in a typical day. So for example, in this first example, eating, 2 hours spent eating, then turn that into a fraction, 2 hours out of 24 hours. Then turn that into a decimal by dividing 2 divided by 24. It's 0.03. Write that as a percent by moving your decimal 2 places to the right, 8.3%. And then we're going to turn this into a pie graph. So we'll multiply this percentage, or this decimal actually, times 360 to figure out how many degrees on your circle graph will be dedicated towards that activity. So here's our circle graph. So on this one, we have 30 degrees. You can get out a protractor and measure this, or you can Google an online protractor to help you figure out how many degrees that would be. So here we have 30 degrees for your category of eating. Now let's say that you get 8 hours of sleep per day. So for your sleep category, you can put 8 hours under your time column. For the fraction of a day, that would be 8 hours out of 24 hours. And the decimal for that, you would take 8 divided by 24. Would be 0.3 repeating. Put a little repeating bar on that. The percent for that is 0.333 repeating. To turn that into a percent, you move your decimal 2 places to the right. So that gives us 33.3 repeating percent. And then to turn that into an angle for our pie graph, you would take your 0.3 repeating times 360 degrees, because all circles have 360 degrees in them. So taking 360 times 0.3 repeating, or you can take it times that fraction if you want the exact value. That gives you 120 degrees. So when you're putting on your 120, you set your protractor against the top of the angle before. So put it against the top of your 30 degrees and then put on that 120. Now I'm thinking 180 minus 30 would be 150. So all the way to here would be 150. It's going to be a little less than that. So 120 degrees is going to look something like this. And then you just continue all the way around until you get back to where you started. If you've done it right, it should come out exactly to 360 degrees to fill your circle. Now make sure on your final pie graph that you're giving a title to your graph. So you could call it something like My Life for your pie graph. And also label each sector. So this one right here would be eating, this sector here, sleeping, and let's say you have a job that takes 8 hours in your day. So you would still have 0.3 repeating. For your decimal, you would still have 33.3 repeating percent for your percent, and you would still have 120 degrees for your sector. Put work here. And then to complete the 24 hours, let's see, we've got 16, 17, 18. So for our category 4, you could put say leisure / housework. So that would need to be 6 hours to round it out to a 24-hour day. So 8 plus 8 is 16, 17, 18 plus 6 is 24. Your fraction would be 6 out of 24. The decimal for that would be 0.25. Turning that into a percentage, you move your decimal 2 places to the right, you would have 25%. And taking 0.25 times 360 gives you 90 degrees. So you would put 90 degrees here, and you would have a category leisure / housework, etc. You also could have broken that down into leisure and housework and put 45 degrees and 45 degrees, or you could put it into 3 categories, have a 30, 60, 90. If you wanted to, maybe you would want a category in there of exercise, quiet time, reading your Bible or something. So just go ahead and finish up your own chart. Do make sure that you are including this table in your final lab. So I need to see the table as well as the pie graph. Now, I do want to show you how you could make that pie graph using technology on the Math is Fun website. So I'm going to show you that now. So if we click on Math is Fun, for your values, you can put the degrees. So you could put 120, comma, 120, comma, 90, comma, 30. And then for your labels, make sure you're going in the same order. So sleep, work, leisure slash housework. Eat. And tell it to make a pie graph. You can tell it to put on the percentages, or you can tell it to put on the actual numbers, which we had put in the degrees. And so on. Okay. Now, instead of putting on the degrees, you also could have put on the hours, and it would work that way too. So 8 hours, 8 hours, 6 hours, and 2 hours. So there it has the numbers. You can also get the percentages that way. Oh, this is colors. Oh, and for the title, don't forget your title. So if you click numbers, you can actually do numbers and percentages. Okay, and when you're finished, send me both your pie graph. You can take a picture of the Math is Fun, or you can make it with a protractor and color it with markers or colored pencils, but also send me the table. So it's a very important piece that you need to send as well. All right, thank you very much. I look forward to seeing your labs. Bye.